Hey there, Legal Tea listeners. This is your host, Jenny Roselle. Welcome back for another episode today. Today is a current trends topic where we talk about things going on currently that are relevant and pertinent to my estate and elder law world, and or maybe they're things I've seen on the news or stumbled across on social media. Well, on today's episode, we're going to talk about something I did stumble across specifically on social media about a law firm, ironically, an elder law firm, that abruptly closed, leaving their clients scrambling, cases not being addressed, and a lot of people concerned about what's next. So, let me give you the scoop of the story, at least what we know right now, and then I'll go into some general tips that are maybe good to know if and when you ever need to start a relationship with a law firm. Just some good questions to ask to make sure you don't end up like the clients of this Florida law firm. So the story goes a little something like this. There's a law firm in Polk County, Florida called Family Elder Law. And according to an article by Fox 13 Tampa Bay, Family Elder Law has a few locations, one in Lakeland, one in Lake Wales, and a third location in Sebring. To give you a little bit of timing, I think because it's important for sake of this episode, I am recording this episode in the first few days of August 2024. So this Fox 13 article was released just a couple days ago on July 31st. And according to them, the family elder law offices have been closed for about 2 weeks. I was kind of nosy and went to look up their website, and their website is shut down. I looked for social media accounts too and got a whole bunch of nothing. So, this episode is set to release in late August, August 20th. So, it will be interesting to see if there are any updates between now, August 1st, when I'm recording this, and August 20th, when this episode will drop. And if not, if there aren't any updates, then, what ends up happening in the short-term future? So the Fox 13 article shares a story and statement from a woman named Letitia, who is taking care of her mother. Her mother is 91 years old and suffers from Alzheimer's and is also recovering from a fall and a stroke. Now, Letitia shared that she was trying to figure out her options because her mother needed more care than she could provide. She said, quote, "I was trying to navigate how to get her the best possible care because in my opinion, she needed 24/7 care and I wasn't going to be able to provide that. I have a full family with kids," end quote. Because of this, she contacted Family Elder Law to have them help her pursue Medicaid benefits for her mother to help her mother afford the nursing home. She ended up hiring the law firm on July 1st, 2024, and paid them a $4,500 retainer from her mother's savings. So a mere couple weeks later, on July 18th, 2024, she dropped by one of the office locations to give them some paperwork for the Medicaid application and learned at that time the firm had closed its doors. Can you even imagine the shock when she found that out? Oh my gosh. So Letitia continued by sharing with Fox 13 that, quote, "We have never been contacted by his office. There was no notice at all. He would be closing. We've never been approached with an offer of a refund. My poor mother is the person who has been victimized," end quote. I doubt this little podcast, my podcast, reaches anyone impacted or actually affected. But just in case, I wanted to mention this. A resource for those that are impacted that was shared by a spokesperson from the Florida Attorney General's office. They said that anyone who feels like they were harmed by lawyer misconduct should file a complaint with the Florida Bar, since they are the, quote, "official arm of the Florida Supreme Court and the entity with jurisdiction over attorney discipline in Florida." So after hearing Letitia's story, Fox 13 did some digging themselves. And you see, the law firm is owned by someone named Jason Penrod. The Florida bar website shows that he is, quote, in good standing, but someone with the bar confirmed to Fox 13 that they are investigating him and what has happened. Fox 13 also attempted to email the law firm too. They did get a reply, and all it said was, due to unforeseen circumstances, Family Elder Law is in the process of closing its operations. No actual reason was given for the closure. Now, according to an article in Lake Wales News, which is, as a reminder, Lake Wales is one of the areas where Family Elder Law had a location. Jason, the owner, texted a statement to Lake Wales News saying, quote, unfortunately, and with a heavy heart, I will be closing Family Elder Law in the near future. In the interim, we will be providing additional information and options to our clients to manage their cases in the best possible way, end quote. So to add to the mystery and perhaps drama, the Lake Wales News article shared a post from the website Reddit where a former employee of Family Elder Law said, quote, I was an employee of the company and they did close unexpectedly and gave us less than a week's notice. We did not return calls or emails, and frankly, I do not know what actually has happened. We were given no info and tied up operations en masse on Thursday last week, end quote. Like I mentioned earlier, things are in the very early stage. And at this literal moment, we don't really know a whole lot. But I'm sure as time passes, more information, of course, will be released. We can all assume a lot of things too. But until more comes out, I am not going to say much more than what I've shared on here. And besides, maybe the situation is just really sad. I think it's a good point in this episode to discuss maybe some things to consider, or maybe tips if you want or need to start a relationship with any attorney. While this situation was tragically and unfortunately an elder law attorney, it could happen to any type of attorney. There are a few things that come to my mind that could help protect you as a client, and I wanted to share those. So, first, when you start looking for an attorney for whatever your legal need is, be sure to look them up on the state directory, or most states call it, or what they call it, a roll, ROLL, of attorneys, to see if they are in good standing and also if they have had any disciplinary cases against them. While most attorneys are fine and dandy, as in they're considered to be in good standing with the state, that they're not in any trouble, haven't retired, haven't died, etc., as well as most don't have disciplinary actions against them either, it does not hurt to check and confirm. Can you imagine how mad at yourself you would be if you started an attorney-client relationship with an attorney, they do something bad, and then you find out, oh my gosh, this isn't the first time this person has done something bad or done something like this. So yeah, and since I'm in the state of Indiana, I can speak to us. If you happen to want to look up an attorney, you can just Google Indiana Roll of Attorneys. And there's a site that usually pops up at the top that ends in .gov. You go there, you type in the attorney's name, and it should pop up. Once you click on their name, you can see if they're in good standing and if they have ever had any disciplinary action against them. I'm honestly sure most states follow a similar process, so maybe just type in your specific state name and then roll, ROLL, of attorneys. Now, a second thing you can do to protect yourself as a client is to straight up ask the attorney what their short-term and long-term plan is if something were to happen to them. So let's pretend in this family elder law case that we end up finding out that the owner experienced a massive mental health breakdown or maybe got a terrible medical diagnosis. I have no idea. I'm purely using this as an example, guys. But let's pretend that he had not thought about something like that and it left his firm in jeopardy and then he just couldn't rebound or something like that. Regardless, my point here with this tip is to ask the attorney what their plan is if something happens to them, as in incapacity or even death. And you'll be able to tell by their reaction if it has crossed their mind at all. Here in Indiana, our state prefers, and I can't remember if it's required or not, but they prefer at the very least that we designate what they call a surrogate attorney, which basically means that if something happens to us, we list an attorney that's responsible for taking over and taking care of our clients. Now, beyond just a surrogate, it would sure be nice, and maybe I'm just saying this because I'm an estate attorney, if they also have their estate and succession plan done as well. Meaning they don't just have a surrogate listed, but they have a whole plan. And again, maybe it's because I do this sort of thing for a living, but my husband and I, we co-own our law firm. We have a very elaborate and specific estate and succession plan in place for our law firm in case something were to happen to us. At the end of the day, I take full responsibility for not only our firm's clients, of course, but my employees too. Like the family elder law employee, they got what did they say? Like a 1 week notice that the doors were closing. I cannot even begin to imagine doing that to my employees. Employees rely on us to be good stewards of the business so that they can provide for their family and they can put food on their table. So, yeah, this second tip is just straight up asking the attorney what their plan is if something happens to them, whether it's a short term absence or long term. Now, lastly, a final tip is making sure you and the attorney sign an engagement agreement, documenting that an attorney client relationship actually exists, one. Two, documents the services that they are providing to you. And three, documenting the payment terms, like what is owed and when. And usually engagement agreements go into more than just that, but those are kind of the crucial pieces, I think, for this topic. Having an engagement agreement in place, if something happens to the attorney, there is a document, a contract nonetheless, that shows that one, the relationship actually existed and you didn't have to prove it existed just by, emails and telephone calls. It also shows exactly what you hired them to do. Again, so that you don't have to play the game of telephone on what they were supposedly helping you with. And finally, exactly when payments were due and owed, which would also show if perhaps a refund is appropriate or not. As we wrap this episode up, I'll try to keep an eye on the facts of this case involving family elder law. And if it warrants a follow-up episode, I'll do another one. But regardless, it's such a terrible and honestly frustrating situation as well. On behalf of the entire legal community, I just feel this need to apologize to their clients and their employees. You all deserved better, and I'm so sorry that this has happened. Okay, let's wrap this episode up. Next week, we are back to the celebrity estate planning type of episode. And during those types of episodes, we dive into a celebrity or big name person that has passed away, and we go into how their estate looked from an estate planning perspective. Next week's episode is about Payne Stewart, which was a very famous professional golfer, but who died in a tragic and freak accident on an airplane. So tune into that next week, Legal Tea listeners. Talk to you then and stay well.